Alrighty guys, match 2, Siege of Winterfell, HFH versus RRH. CS was on our usual time slot of 1300, which didn't affect us too badly. We shifted to the 19, but being global, our numbers still hit 48. Not the 62 that the HFH guys managed to field, which does really hurt in the Siege of Winterfell, as you can see here. 3 armies apiece means that they've got about 42 more armies on field than us. Um, so they split their forces in three, which is something the last enemy didn't do. They drove up the center, and I think it was very effective for them, keeping the troops together but splitting them in such a way that it forced us to do the same. Since we were undermanned in comparison and less organised, 1900 is about 3 a.m. for me, so I'm still chugging coffee, even now, trying to get some damage onto these guys here. But yeah, we didn't have a lot of pre-planning this time, which is my bad really, but 3 a.m.'s a time that no one really wants to wake up for. It did teach us a lot about how important it is to keep troops together and sort of move as one. Obviously, you're not going to necessarily want all, 48 times. You're not going to need 150 armies in one place. But we should have done a lot better at that. If we'd had 60 at the armory, 60 at the springs, and 60 in the center, then we would have been facing much better odds. I have a feeling that we got distracted a little by the outposts, or Stark outposts, for example, which really at the end of the day it doesn't make a huge difference to the points. The main goal is those resources, and the armory obviously helps substantially. Healing, I'm still not certain how much of an effect the springs has, so this was a good one, bugging out against the wall there, which I heard was fairly common. But yeah, there's, we did what we could, and there's sections here where we'll take back an outpost, we'll push them back a little, but the numbers really did just grind us down eventually. Team-wise, I went with the laner Chris. Initially Varus. I switched it up obviously by this point to Sansa to get some sustain. I'm more of a fan of the Varus, and I think that team's still a really good all-rounder, but it also brought up a few things this match for the team comps. So the first one, I was more along the lines of skills are important, they should be balanced, and each team should be able to independently operate of the others. Obviously, something like the Anitheon Melisandre is a support team, you're going to want them close to your others, but the idea was that each team would be capable of taking on the enemy, and have the skill sets that it needed to do that. So Lena with the buff and the cleanse, Chris with the damage reduction and buff, and then Varus with the skill prevention. Secondary team was more of a mid-range damage dealer, but still I think covered most bases. So Miranda for a bit of buff and damage to hold the front line. Soren to buff up that damage, and then Varus to lay it on, which would be covered by the Annie support team. Now, I'm not saying that's not a decent tactic. I got 4th in both matches for the Alliance, and not far off of that overall. Especially the first match, I was fairly well up there with that strat. But one thing I really noticed in this match was that the skills all apply to the enemy. Yours, your allies, each team. For the most part, you're moving in a team of 3 with allies. Now, if all of those skills are being applied to the enemy, and if the enemy's bunched up, which they often are when you get into a fight, then you really don't need to worry so much about individual team balance so much as overall balance. So next time I'll be trying some single type teams just to buff up the stats of the troops a lot more. And I'll just aim for the overall balance among across the three teams, since they're going to be together for the most part anyway. So I'll be interested to see how that goes next time. The Lord only applies to the team that they're with, so the lack of stats in the other two teams, I think, is probably something that needs to be addressed. If you go with a single type, for me personally, I can probably still get closer to the 500-600% attack. I'm not sure on the defense and health, I didn't really look at it, but if you can still get up there to say the 500-600 with Lord, that's going to be a substantial amount more. And if the skills are covering each other, then you shouldn't notice too much of a loss in the balance, I suppose. So at this point here, they've pretty much pushed us out of the WF Bowl. Both outposts are effectively theirs. It doesn't get that much better for us from this point on. Really, it's just a slow decline, unfortunately. The gap keeps widening, and we just don't get back into the game. So numbers, organisation, and also, of course, the team setups is going to come into play. So overall, I'd just say, well done to HFH. They moved their troops around a lot better. They had the organisation and the numbers, and they got the job done. For our guys, I think it was a good chance to see what happens on the other foot. Last match, we were probably more so the ones that were pushing ahead, which was good for the confidence boost, and certainly felt nice, but it didn't teach us a lot about the downsides. So, take it for what it is, learning experience and all of that. But well done to them, and let's see how it plays out.